I'll just say one last thing. I'm a huge Beatles fan, and if anyone out there says you're not, you're a liar.
No
That's it.
doubt. No doubt.
Yeah.
No
Yeah.
doubt.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's no doubt. You even the bands I was into, Kiss. All right, let's go back
Right.
there. I
Yeah.
know they were influenced by Beatles. Come on, like
There would,
everyone,
there would be no us if not that.
Nope, it wouldn't.
Yeah.
It wouldn't.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that explains like some of your like guitar tones,
Yeah.
especially
Yeah, it does.
in Dead End Amelia,
Yeah.
especially like the Sound of Awakening, because I don't know why this song is like stuck in my head. It's called "You're Not Alone."
Man.
That guitar tone, I don't know why I keep on thinking about the guitar tone in that song. Um, can people still find out that song?
Again, all this stuff will be back on Spotify really soon, but for now you can find all of this on the Dead End Amelia Bandcamp.
Awesome. Thank you for plugging that.
Mm-hmm.
But
Mm-hmm.
You're Not Alone to me is like
The 7-minute song that.
oh my gosh, man.
Yeah.
It doesn't feel like it at all. But the guitar tones in that, even the bass is as well. Is a mixture with those two instruments like that, the way
Yeah.
you played that. And by the way, I'm telling you, this dude's incredible. He played everything on that record. But I just I appreciated how like soft it began, and then how much heavier that it got towards the end of that
Yeah.
song.
Yeah. Yeah.
Beautiful.
Yeah. Thank you.
So
Yeah.
beautiful.
Yeah.
Because me and my brother would talk about this record, and of course my brother is just all about how you mix. And same here. I love the way your sounds are. It's just incredible.
Thank you. That,
But
man.
yeah, but dude, you're not alone, man. I'm like that song, and how'd you get Krista to sing like that?
You know what? There was a point in time, and it started at the song "Death Materia" that Will's playing on the second EP, "The Point of No Return," also on the Dead End Amelia Bandcamp, where I taught her how to use vocal fry. Was the first thing. How to do the scream without sounding like you're screaming.
Right.
And I taught. That's why she does those awesome screams in the middle eight of Death Materia. That they sound good. And that moment in that record, which is the one before Will's talking about, that's what she went. Oh my God, I didn't know my voice could do that. Which is also, by the way, one of my biggest kind of what I bring to the table as a producer. Right. Is I can hear a vocalist and know what's left in their batteries that they don't know. And I knew she had it in her, and I pulled that out of her. And then basically once we got to "You're Not Alone," and look, here's the deal. I was bringing up, drinking whiskey and stuff as a funny thing earlier, and it still is. But Krista had this we know Krista. We both know she's small, right? Yeah. And I could never understand it. That woman, small as she is, could match me whiskey for whiskey. And we were doing that song, and we were sipping. We're not doing shots. We're not like partiers, like yeah. we're sipping, we're smelling like there's, it's just, I don't want to paint the wrong idea. We're enjoying it. We're alone in a safe place in my studio, in my home. So it's all good. But, we were writing for the end of that song where it's like, she's like, it's like the song, the riff's like, dun, get done, da, dun, get done. Then she goes, let me, and she's all high, let me take over. And it's all like, crumply and shit.
Yeah.
Like she brought some of the knowledge that I gave her from Death Materia, from that record, and then combined it with her melodic voice. And she didn't have any inhibitions because, we were so a little sauced up on the bourbon, and we wrote it. And it was one of those, like, I had to keep the vocal from pre-production because we were never going to get that character again, kind of thing.
Right. Okay.
It was actually this microphone, and she was holding it while we were writing, and I was like, no, we're never getting that again. So, and of course, she's able to reproduce it with the passion and how new it was from the message of the song. That's we found it together from me starting the journey of that vocal tone with her on the second record.
Right.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah.
And do you find other singers like that too, or like that you can get the most out of them?
Man, even the ones that are well trained, even singers that are famous that I've worked with, where they have like a really impressive catalog. They'll come to me and they'll find new voices, with me. I don't put myself out there as a professional vocal coach or anything like that, but I have an extreme understanding of, the usage, of, like, the diaphragm, breath control, fry vocal, screaming without damaging your voice. And,
Yeah.
I tend to know when a singer's in there. I keep looking at my tracking room because I'm like imagining. I
Right.
tend to know when they have a lot left than they realize. Sometimes it's just because there's nerves involved. Sometimes they'll hear it. So sometimes they'll hear it in their head and they'll go, "I'm afraid to try to go there." And
Right.
some for some reasons it makes sense. Like, I don't want to hurt my voice, or I'm afraid it'll come out sounding like shit, and everyone that's in the control room will laugh at me, or any combo of those things. There's a great example of this, by the way, and if you want to cut to it at some point, I'll give you guys a link.
Oh, sweet.
Amel Rose made a document, like a 4-minute documentary. You don't have to do the whole thing, but there's a moment she talks about. She actually narrates it, where we're we're doing this song for her. It's the "You're Not Alone" of her first record I produced in the UK. The song is called "Out of the Woods," and it's an epic one. It has a lot of movement, like, You're Not Alone does. And at the very end of the song, she's screaming this line, that I forgot exactly what it is. A very powerful lyric. And she originally, in the indie sort of sad girl style, was doing it false. She's a very nice husky voice. She was originally singing it in falsetto, and it was really cool how it was against this heavy riff, and there was, the dichotomy was cool. But I just looked at her and I go, "Look, we're at the end of our night. We have no more vocals to record for the day. I need you to try to sing that, like, with the passion that you really mean it, one octave higher than you're used to. You have it in you. Trust me." And she actually highlights this. I'll give you the link to it. And
Okay.
she does it, and you see her face. She hears her own voice in the cans, and she freaks out. She goes, "I did not know I was capable of that." Fucking passionate end to that song. If we never did that.
Wow.
Oh, yeah.
Oh
So I
man.
I find it a lot. I find it a lot in a lot of singers, if they have any left. Some come to me, and I'm learning something new from them. But, in most cases, I can tell just by being around you, talking to you, listening to your vocal cavity by talking. Maybe I'm jamming with you, like, maybe we're jamming a Britney song in the living room or
Yeah.
whatever, and I can hear, and I save that data for myself when it's time, and I know when to pull out, the extra energy or demons in their closet they didn't know they had, you know.
So you actually study them when they don't even know it, and
100%.
just by hanging out with
Just by
them.
hanging out, yeah, and you just listening to them when they talk, sing, and I know when I'm dealing with someone that they don't realize there's a whole other library of sounds in them that's hidden away. I can tell, 100%.
Today's episode is brought to you by our sponsor, eRecord Studio, the new way musicians rehearse, record, and share their e-record sessions on social media. Visit ERS on eRecordStudio.com. Download this amazing app on Google and Apple Apps stores.
Yeah,
Let me ask you this other question.
yeah.
Another thing about producing.
Mhm.
Um, okay, like you're writing a song. Um, do you think about lyrics first, or you think about the song first? The
You mean, you
actual.
mean
Oh, go ahead.
you
Go ahead.
mean like the music or lyrics first? You mean?
Yeah. Which one comes up first? Like, I know some artists rather have lyrics first, and you build it around that. Which one is better for you? That if the music's great, then you can put on these awesome lyrics on top of it, or the lyrics are badass and then you try to match that, with the lyrics?
Yeah, awesome question. And actually, I can answer this one quite quickly. I'll first start by saying that, okay, the band you and I play in, Dead End Amelia. Okay, so upon first listen, if people so Chris and I are the primary songwriters, and I'll say if people didn't know us and they just listened to the record, you're basically, to me, it sounds like it sounds, the way I described it once, I was like, these are Paramore fans that listen to a shitload of Deftones in a perfect circle. That's what I tell people, and that's what it sounds like to me sometimes.
Right.
Her pop voice.
Yeah.
Well, here's what's interesting. In that particular case, believe it or not, most Dead End Amelia songs, most of them, actually started as a lyric and vocal melody first. And because Krista and I are such big like R&B fans,
yeah,
we would actually sing them in like an R&B style to each other, and I'm like grabbing an acoustic, and I'm like playing like Babyface stuff, or Usher licks, like under some of this, and I'm not thinking of big writing crash and all this. Some of the beats in my head are just like, like I'm thinking of neo soul, R&B, and we first hear it like that because and I'm not even, it's not a joke. For some reason, she and I always hear everything as a Janet Jackson tune. I don't know why. We're both big fans of Janet.
Right.
And because we know where Dead End Amelia is going, we would then adapt it. But back to your main question, it's really dynamic. Like so I'm going to answer it two ways. When I write a song for me, whether it's like my own product or if I'm writing for, something else, maybe a video game or a commercial or whatever I'm doing it for, another artist, it can happen one of two ways. Sometimes there's a riff in one of my voice memos that I'm like cooking an omelet and I'll hit play on it and I start singing a hook to it, and sometimes it's the hook. It's a hook comes out of my mouth first. And if I think it's a girl, I'll just like remember to tell someone to sing it with a different voice later or whatever. But it doesn't matter. I mean, they both, there's no preference.
Okay.
They both yield. They both either approach, meaning starting with lyric and melody first or starting with music first. They will yield a different sort of approach because if you start with music first and you're left to your own devices, you tend to repeat a lot of what you do, especially if your mind is in brand, so to speak, for a product. But someone like Krista, who is a natural, a musical, she doesn't know anything about music theory, but she's a natural, and so she'll sing passionately first without worrying, is it in her register or not? Right. And what's fun about that is that it forces, say, me on a piano or a guitar, whatever I've got nearby to accompany it, to start writing music for it.
Right.
Maybe she's in a key that I'm not comfortable going to those frets or those chords all the time. So it forces me to find new voicings that make the music way more imaginative. I mean, you got to think about going from Stranger in My Home, which was obviously started as a pop chorus, and you think about that versus, say, Deaf Materia, which is, she was singing about, I'm not going to say who it is, but she was singing about a family member who was troubled with addiction. Let's just put it like that. And she, I think one day she just out of the blue, she was just like, you are and any piece of music can go with that.
Right.
I could write ragtime to that. I could write R&B to that. I could, but for some fucking reason, when she did that day, I like went and I grabbed a fucking guitar and I was like, dun 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 dun, and that's what the dun dun you want, and it had that drive, and that would have never happened if it was music first in that case. So that would be an example,
Damn.
Does that make sense?
Yeah. No, it
Yeah.
does. It does a lot. I was just going to say, like, how do you know, especially with her, how you know when a song's finished?
This answer will go across anything I do. So, no, really, it's easy. Like this goes across any of my production. This goes across anything we write, anything I co-write. again, I remind you that I come from the old school. So my brain is constantly in a like sort of strange calculated abandon, as one way I'd put it. And what I mean by that is like, I know there are constraints to this tape machine. We cannot record 10,000 times on this. Yeah. I know there's passion in this artist. I need to find a way that we fill in all the blanks for the creativity while also not going past a certain point, beating a dead horse or something, whatever analogy you want to use. And look, I wish there was a more theatric answer for this. I just know. And I just know, and then I walk away. It's done. I don't revisit. Commit, move on. I just know. And sometimes there's a thing or two left. Like, I'm obsessed with tambourines.
Yeah. I do.
Like that tends to be the thing that's left. And I'm like, oh, that needs a tambo in the choruses. That's it.
Right.
I just kind of know. And I think a lot of that has to do too is when I decided to be a producer independently and work for people. I think the thing a lot of us as artists need, because when I'm in artist mode, I need this help too, is I tend to like to be someone, I like to consult very deeply with you before the project begins for obvious reasons. What's the sound we're going for? What's the vibe? What's the message? Obviously. But what I do is I like to create the light at the end of the tunnel. And I like to, that we all agree on. So we all see the same light, its color, its texture. We see all the silhouettes in that light. And I never start a downbeat of production until we're all looking at the same picture at the end of that tunnel. Okay. That's number one. Number two, I try to make it to where the closer you get to the light, it's tangible for the artist. We all know we're near the end.
Yeah.
And I tend to make the environment such that we hit stop on the space bar. And I want to look back in the room and everyone just goes, fuck.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? and that's when you're done.
Wow.
I try not to be dramatic about it, but that's literally how it goes.
Yeah. Oh man. That includes songwriting as well.
That's what I mean. I mean, all of that, the same approach to everything, create the light at the end of the tunnel, make sure it's tangible, and make sure we're all feeling the warmth of it as we get there. When the light gets too hot, it's done.
Damn.
Yeah,
man.
Right. That's a good analogy, isn't it? Like
it is.
Once you fly, don't be Icarus. Once you fly too close to the sun, you're ruining things.
And damn. Hey, what's up, y'all? This is Will Dorsey Jr., Talk Music Podcast. If you like what you see, please hit that subscribe button. That little red button on there, just hit it. That will help me out tremendously. If you can also, subscribe to our YouTube channel, that will also help me. And if you wanted to download our podcast on Apple or Google or Amazon or even Spotify, you can check us out on there. Hope you guys enjoy the show.
Today's episode is brought to you by our sponsor, 𝐸 Studio, the new way musicians rehearse, record, and share their 𝐸 sessions on social media. Visit ERS on 𝐸recordstudio.com. Download this amazing app on Google and Apple Apps stores.
Visit us on www.talkmusicpodcast.com. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. Download our podcast on Apple, Google, Amazon, and Spotify.